When I died, she was holding another man in her arms. The plan succeeded. I will become the pain she can never forget. Mr. Lewis, here's your medication. Please take it. I accepted the white bottle and thanked the pharmacist. With sleeping pills, I could finally get some rest. Rest. The plan was ready to begin. I sat in the taxi, staring at the message Claire Jude had just sent me. I'm attending a gala tonight. Won't be home. I knew exactly what kind of gala this was. Wesley Summers' welcome back party. Wesley Summers was quite something. He had been with Claire for just 1 year, yet had her completely wrapped around his finger. I'd stayed by Claire's side from the age of 21 to 27, 6 whole years, and still, I couldn't compete with a single tear from Wesley. I had lived this life once before. In the end, Claire married Wesley, and I died on their wedding day. Mentally broken, I jumped off a building. I got nothing. How could I just accept that? So Elle came back this time to when Claire was 19. In the original timeline, I would have met Claire when she was 21. She had just started her business, and I became her right-hand assistant. My family preferred girls, while hers was shattered two wounded souls, licking each other's wounds. For 6 long years, we even discussed marriage. But then, Wesley came back. Not only did he return, but he openly declared his lingering feelings for Claire at the gala. They rekindled their old flame, and my 6 years of youth became the collateral. 19-year-old Claire was still the rich kid of the Jude family with the world at her feet, dating the prettiest guy, Wesley Summers. At 20, her family lost everything. Wesley left the country, and her life took a nosedive. I knew everything, so Elle entered her world early. I didn't interfere with her relationship with Wesley. This plan needed an executioner. And this year, the one Claire had cherished most was it. I watched Claire date Wesley, watched them hold each other, watched them kiss. I saw, with painful clarity, all the sweet memories Wesley once told me about. For an entire year, my heart soaked in their syrupy romance until it was drenched and rotting. I waited quietly, biding my time. When Wesley left the country, I entered Claire's world, armed with genuine love as she fell into despair. How foolish 20-year-old Claire was. Childish and stubborn. Over and over, she rejected me, waiting for Wesley. How does that saying go? Love is long-lasting when it comes from companionship. Eventually, Claire accepted me. I stayed by her side during her darkest year. After that, things unfolded as I remembered. She rose from a scrappy entrepreneur to a business tycoon. From rejecting me to almost proposing. And then, this gala. Sir, we've arrived. The sound of the horn broke my thoughts. I picked up my phone. The screen still displaying my chat with Claire. The last message was from 11:35 a.m. Do you want me to pick you up? Don't drink too much. I'm worried about you. Claire hadn't replied. I stepped out of the car doing something I had no memory of ever doing. The plan started here. Inside the bar, lights flickered. I spotted Claire immediately, seated with her back to me. She was dressed in a suit, standing out amidst the quirky outfits surrounding her. Wesley Summers was right next to her in a black dress. He didn't fit in with the crowd either, but at least he matched Claire. The people sitting around them were all familiar. The same crowd Claire used to hang out with back in her rich kid days. I waited a long time, thinking I wouldn't see anything. Then, suddenly, laughter erupted from across the room. They were egging them on, loudly. Wesley stood up and kissed Claire on the lips. My hand shook as I raised my phone, zooming in and capturing the moment. Unmistakable. My hand trembled. My heart clenched painfully. So even in the days I knew nothing about, they had shared an unspeakable connection. Claire seemed to sense something and turned her head. I quickly pulled my hat down and left. She didn't see me. Back at our place, the emptiness was suffocating. An empty home never felt good. I showered and sat on the couch, counting the minutes on the clock. 1:28 a.m., the sound of keys turning in the door. I opened my eyes, still groggy, and rushed into Claire's arms. She caught me, patting my head. Her deep voice sounded in my ear. Why aren't you wearing shoes? You'll catch a cold. I cupped her face, gently stroking the spot where Wesley's lips had been. My voice muffled. Where have you been? You were gone so long, and you didn't reply to my messages. She paused but didn't answer. She simply carried me to the couch and put socks on my feet. I kicked her lightly in protest. Why won't you say anything? She ruffled my hair, as if resigned. A very important client. I didn't drink. My phone was off, so I didn't see your messages. I looked into her eyes, and I was all I could see there. Claire, you're lying. I didn't press her further and, as always, started playfully teasing her again. The next morning, Claire left for work early. Once she was gone, I crawled out of bed and headed to the study. Among piles of documents and classic novels sat my diary. I pulled it out, flipping through each page where my thoughts lay bare from the moment I met Claire until now. During the years Wesley Summers was gone, I received a level of affection I never had in my previous life. Maybe it was because I stood by her during her lowest moments that Claire treated me differently. Even though I knew Wesley still lived in her heart, I sometimes wavered, wondering, maybe this time will be different. But then I would remember those 6 years. I remembered how despite all that time together, Wesley had returned, taken the place meant for me, worn the wedding dress I had picked, and kissed Claire on the day of my death. The thought drove me mad with hatred. Claire had to suffer, just like me, day and night, tormented by despair. Tears fell onto my diary as I traced the photo I had taken that day. Each stroke of my hand carved deeper wounds into my heart. I had thought the pain would be gone by now. I went to pick up Claire. I saw a guy kiss her. He was happy, but I was devastated. On a fresh page, I jotted down these few lines. Excitement and restraint warred within me. Strange, yet oddly enjoyable. I closed the diary and returned it to its spot. Then I put on light makeup and slipped into a white suit. The reflection in the mirror was serene, gentle, so different from Wesley's boldness. I smiled at the guy in the mirror, who smiled back at me. His dimples sweet as honey. Claire had complimented me long ago, saying I looked beautiful when I smiled, but I didn't like smiling anymore, not after coming back to relive this life. Now I preferred crying. Falling apart in tears reminded me I was still alive with real emotions made of flesh and blood. Crying reminded me of Claire's coldness and Wesley's provocation.